I'm struggling to find which screen I put mine on. Oh, right here.
Also, Asha, can you make your camera move up a little bit? We
Camera
are
move
actually
up.
seeing your chin. We are actually seeing your chin only.
Is this good?
No. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, and so let's start about the operators. Operators, they're just they we use to perform the operations on different values. When you think of the operators, yes, we'll think of about maybe the plus, minus, yes. They're all part of a type of operators, but they're not just the only ones. There's many more, and they do have a really significant use when it comes to Python, which I will explain today. Okay, let's move on with our first operator, which I will be talking about. It is the arithmetic operators. Um, Arithmetic operators is just meaning using numerical values to perform like common common mathematical operations. And yes, that all those common mathematical operations using numerical values can fall under maybe, yes, it can fall under plus, minus, multiply, division. We all know, yeah. And so those are not just only one. Yes, we have modulus, we have floor division, and we have exponentation. Does anybody know what modulus do? Hello?
Yeah, anyone
Yeah,
knows
it
about.
it gives the reminder after the division.
Yes, after the division, it does give a remainder. So, for example, you have maybe a 5, and then you have a y equals to 2, and you here print, or you can just do x modulus y. See, you get 1. Yes, that's modulus does give a remainder. And then we also have exponentation. Does anybody know what that is? What will give this output? Anybody?
Asha,
Yes,
can you
that's
zoom the screen? Can you zoom the screen?
zoom the screen, meaning
Control
like
plus
this.
control. Yeah, yeah, more.
Okay,
A
so
little bit more.
this is good.
Yeah, this is good, everyone.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay,
Yes,
so do I
and
use
everyone,
the
please make a answer to Asher if he's asking
no,
something.
they're in the chat you can do as well. It's a they you can also write in the chat if so.
Yes, it makes 25.
Yeah, it does make 25 because 5 multiply itself again is 25. And then we have one last one which is yeah, floor division. Does anybody know about the concept flooring? Because in normal division you can go further into decimals. And so what does flooring do? Anybody know?
It's around the digits.
Yeah, it will round the digits, but it's not just gonna round it in any such way. It's gonna round it down. That is what the concept flooring is. And so when you run it, we'll actually get 2, and the reason to that is because see here, let me just show an example here. Can you see my paint? And so here, can you everybody see the paints now?
Yeah, we can see now.
So basically, floor division, yes. Whoever said it's rounding the digits, yes, that is true. But it's not just rounding. There's two concepts when it comes to rounding as well in the mathematics is flooring and ceiling. Flooring is when you're rounding down to the nearest whole number, and ceiling when you're rounding up to the nearest. So, because this is floor division, we're gonna take into two, which is 2 times 2 is 4. Then we have 1. Let's create a decimal and add a 0. The answer is really 2.5, but because we're using concept flooring, this will go down to 2. Everybody understand? And yes, let me just share my screen for the Jupyter notebook now, so we can move on. There. Now, so that was really about arithmetic operators, just numerical values to perform mathematical operations. And let's move on to our next one, which is assignment operators. And assignment operators and simplified, it's just using to assign values to variables, and the most common, probably the most common assignment operator is going to be, 1 second. The most common assignment operator we might think of is, yes, which is true, equal sign. This equal sign is assignment operator because we're assigning this value to this variable name, which is x. And this is not the only way you can actually assign. There's an easier way, because when you go further into your coding and all that stuff, you're gonna find yourself maybe in when you start learning loops and all that stuff, you're gonna start if, like adding values to this one variable and saving it like that. And it could be in any other situation. This is just an example. So in those situations, you're probably gonna use x equals to maybe x plus 2. What this is doing is we're creating a new x. We're going to override this. We're going to take this before x, which is going to be 5, and we're going to add it with 2, which is going to be 7. So if you print it, x is actually going to be 7, as you can see. And so there's actually an easier alternative for this, and it is doing this. X plus equals to 2. So basically we get to use both our arithmetic operators. This is not the only one you can use. You can also use bitwise, but I'm not going to be explaining bitwise today. I'm just going to explain some other simpler ones. And like you can add, like, one example is you can add your arithmetic operator, and you can add your equal sign so that it will add into x and it will make it like that. So it'll add and save it. And so this thing, if you're confused, this is just this thing simplified as x equals to x plus 2. So this equal sign is representing here because we want to save it again. And then we're going to add it so we can use our arithmetic operator. And so that it's just a much simpler way to use it, and it's also much more probably understandable if you're with big codes and all that stuff. So let me give you an example and I'll show you how it works. And so for example, our new x, let's make it 10, and x plus equals to, maybe let's do 6 or 5. What will the answer be? Does anybody know? You can save the chat if you want. Yes, 11 is
11.
correct. Uh, yes, the reason to that is because here we start with 5 and we add it into 6. We add 6 and we save it, and yes, as you said, x is 11. That's how it works. And it's not just for this addition. You can do subtraction, you could do maybe multiplication, and you could even do division. You can do exponentation. You can do maybe floor division. You can also do modulus. It really doesn't matter, but you have to keep in mind it's not always going to increment your value or any of that. It can also just say, because the reason we have that equal sign, it's going to save it like that as well. So if you, for example, you were using your modulus, and see if you're using your modulus and currently our x is 5 or x is 11, and if we modulus this with maybe 2, look what we get. If we print out x, our x is going to be 1. And why is that? Because firstly we have an x and we then use our modulus and then we save it with 2. And our current x is 11. How would it work then? You can say
Does
in the
anybody
chat.
want to explain? How do we get 1?
Because if it's just more if it's not understandable to you, then just think of it as this. Let me comment this out, and you can think of it like this. This is just a shortcut. Just keep in mind this is just the long way and this is the shortcut. They both will give the same output. Anybody know? Or is just not understand? Because I can
Value of
simplify it.
x is upgraded in next step when we added this +6.
But repeat what you say. Our current x is 11. Or if it's just not understand, okay, let's even remove this. Look, our x is 5 and x is modulus equal to 2. So this would just give 1 because 5 modulus 2 is 1. And that will be saved into x. Okay, that's all about assignment operators then. Now let's move on to comparison operators, which is just comparing values. And so we act this is not just our we don't just have we don't have like a greater or less. Greater less is one of our in fact it is one of our comparison operators, but there's also more following on to it. And let's start with firstly our double equal to. This double equal to is, when you're doing maybe some code and you need to see if they're both equal, some two values, you're going to use something called double equal to. So let's create maybe x equals 4, y equals maybe 3. And also keep in mind when you talk about comparison operators, you will only give a Boolean value output because it's going to be either true or false. That's what Boolean is. And so if you write x equals to y, what do you think the answer would come? X is 4, y is 3, and these are checking if they're equal.
It's false.
0?
Yes,
Oh, sorry, false.
yes, that is right. You get false, and that's because this is a different number, yeah? And so that's all about the double equal, checking if it's the same. And our next one we have is just opposite, straight opposite of this first equal to, which is not equal to. And the way you are gonna write it is just like here, let me just write some. Here is, for example, not equal to is only checking if it's not equal. So you're gonna put an exclamation mark equal to y. And this is not gonna do the same thing as assignment. This is a comparison operator. So, because we have this exclamation mark just means not, and here it just means equal to. And so it says x not equal to y. If they aren't equal, you'll get a true, and if it's equal, you'll get false. What will answer be here? This is x is 9, y is 4, and x not equal to y. What do you think the answer would be?
It's
True.
true.
Yeah, it will return a true because they're a different number. And that's all about not not equals to. And our third one we have current moment is yes, I just earlier stated that we know the greater and less. Yes, we all know, right? Check if it's a greater number or not. So it will also give out a Boolean value. Yeah. Okay. So now we all know about that. There's even a further way which also includes those greater and less, and it is greater than or equals to. It check if these greater than or equal to will check if it is greater than or equals. So if you simplify it, you simplify in the words. Firstly, for example, greater than or equal to. This is also an comparison operator checking. These are the two things it's checking. Let me just write it in the code first. So x, let's create new numbers. X equals 6, y equals 2. And when you do this, x is greater than or equal to y, these are two conditions that it's checking out on. It's checking either x is greater than y or x is double equal to y. Because it's checking either if it's both equal or it's greater. So what do you think the output would give here? With x greater than or equal to y? Is it gonna give a true or false? Yes, it's gonna give a true because here x is 6, y is 2, and which condition is the cor is giving a true? Is it the greater than here or is it the equal to? Yes, the greater than, because this is the one that's going, and it's or is just meaning either any one of them can be. If none of them follow, then it's gonna be a false. And yeah, and this greater than equals to also follows with less than or equal to, and they will produce the same thing. And that's all about comparison operators. Let's move on to logic. But when you're moving, when you're, but before we talk about that, let's let's so when you're here and here, this operator is checking two conditions. But what if we want to just do a separate conditions, and we want to see at least either one, not not combined. You want to do separate, and you'll provide with more things, more things to write like double equals to or maybe greater than, less than, and all that stuff at maybe the same time or multiple is we need something here because when you're writing it, you want to see maybe you want to see what if you want to see it's either then greater than or equal to maybe 6, or it is maybe y is you want both of these. You want to check if both, you want to give an output of true if both conditions are true. Y is greater than maybe 8 again. So you want to see if both are true or false. You need something in the middle, and that is this keyword. And those keywords, those are logical operators. Everybody understand? Because what if we want to use others? Maybe this greater than 6 or 8. You can use your comparison operators. You can use multiple comparison operators of our choice, and but we need something here, and that would be logical operators. Everybody understand? Yeah. Okay. And so that's how those things work. And so there's actually two options we can use here. There's three logical operators, and logical operators are just used to combine multiple conditions. We want to combine multiple condition and into one statement, and we want to see if it will give a true or false. So we have two keywords mainly specified for this in logical operators. There's one I'm going to talk about after, and our first one is and. And key, what it is doing is it is checking. It has to check if both conditions are true. because this is one condition and this is second condition, and we want to see if both of them are true. If both are true, then it will give us a true value. Otherwise, it's gonna give false. Two wrong, one wrong. It will not do anything. It will just give a false. So in short, unless unless and both conditions are true, it will give a true in the with the and keyword. Otherwise, it will give false. And then there's or, which is basically a more gentle way of and it will allow you to at least have one condition. If at least one condition is true, then we will get at least the true value as our output. And and if both are wrong, it's gonna give a false output. So in short, unless both are wrong, then it will give a false. Otherwise, it will be a true no matter what. It just has to be
Okay.
one or more correct.
Actually, let's just make or as an end,
Yeah,
or as an end,
yes.
and everybody say what will be the answer of that situation or that condition,
Oh
where
wait,
x is greater
bef
than equals to 6 and y is greater than
just
equals to
saying,
8.
here, see here?
Yeah. Just
This is
copy that, Ashir.
x is 6 and y is 2, okay? Right here.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
what do you think we'll give?
yeah.
Just
Anybody?
saying one more time, and is checking if both conditions are true.
Exactly. Thank you, Ashir. Uh, do you guys understand what is and or?
Yes, somebody messaged correct. It is false.
Yeah, false. Why it is
And
false, Mustajab?
yeah,
That's fundamental, Ashir.
can you
Why it's
explain
false,
your point?
Mustajab?
Because it's checking both sides, and if we use and, both should be true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so which condition is false? And how you're saying that it's false, total is false? Is it first or the second condition?
Second condition.
Yes, because y is 2 here, and we said greater. So good job, correct.
And now I should make
And
it or. Now make this
if you
condition and create an or. Now what do you
wait,
think? What will be the answer?
let me create a different variables.
Okay, okay.
And
Now what do you think, guys? What will be the answer?
It will be true
yes,
How, Aisha?
because first condition is true and nahi.
Yeah, see.
you're right, on the right track. First condition is true.
Even the second condition is also the true.
Yes, it will return true, not false.
Yes.
Both conditions are true.
So if you
If
check
if
here,
one condition is true or other condition is true, it will return true.
yes.
Exactly.
So maybe this could confuse some people points. So let me quickly just simplify it. It will be a really quick, and I will simplify it in a much easy way. If you don't understand, here let me create two boxes. This is how and or pretty much work. It will be simplified right here for you guys. Here, for example, we have, let me just create 3 lines. I'm just setting up so that I can show. There, those are done. Now let me explain you how they really work. Take this box is or box. Take this one as and box, okay? This is how it works. For example, these are two conditions. This is going to be our output, this third box, and all, and these other ones will be our conditions. Either it's true or false. So for example, in their and box, we have one true value and one false value. What do you think it will give?
False.
Yes, it will give false, which is your output right here.
It's and operator.
Yeah, and operator. Logical. Because and has to say both have to be true in order to be a true. And so even if you were to do it the other way, even the second condition was right and first wrong, again it will be false, yeah? And now let me ask you a question. What if both are false? What will it be output?
False.
Yes, false,
False.
because you need all to be true. And so in our last one, we should all know that what if both are true?
True.
Yes, true. And that's this is just a bit a simple way to understand how and works. And this is or. Or is just a much easier way to understand it. For example, again, we have one true, one false. What will be our output? Anybody?
True.
True, yes. Because and how can you explain your point?
Because in or operator, any one condition is true, the answer will be true.
Yes, that is correct. And same thing other way, you will get a true as well because it doesn't really matter. And what about here? What if both are true? What will be your answer?
True.
And yes, that is correct. And how can you prove your point?
Because both condition are true, the answer will be true.
Yeah, so keep in mind when you're talking about or, if you see a both true, of course it's true, but if you have to explain your point, or does it just take one if it's at least more than one will be a true. So more than one can also be two. And so then we have our last one, which is false. And what do you think this will give when our both are false?
False.
Yes, correct. Because and how can you say that? How can you say that this is going to be a false in the ors?
Because both false terminate this.
Yeah, both false terminate it. And that is just a small structure about logical operators. Everybody understand about and or, how they work? Hello? Do we all? Yes, okay. Now let's finally move on to our last logical operator, and it is called not. And you might be thinking, what is not supposed to do? Will I
Sure,
show
you need to
you?
share your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sharing it right now. And so then we have our not, which is simply just going to reverse your result. And when I mean by reversing your result, let's start with a really basic example. Not true. You reverse your results. What will this come?
False.
Yeah, false. Because why is it
Because
false?
it's
Yeah,
change the condition.
yeah, because it's reversing. So not is just not changing in those senses, but reverse, like opposite, you can say as well. Opposite will do. And same, it cannot, you can actually inside not, you can put any and condition which you desire. You could put this whole thing in. And we got true here, right? This is our last condition was true, so what will it be if we add a not?
False.
Yes, false, because
Because in not operator reverse the
yeah, it's reverse. Not operate what? 1 second. Let me just fix it. There. When you're doing this, you have to put your brackets as well. Just to keep it, you have to keep that in mind. You cannot leave it straight open unless it's just a one value. And so, yes, you're correct, false, because it's reversing your result. But and now this is a weird thing, but what do you think this will come?
Okay, Ashu, one thing here. When you run the above statement without any parenthesis, so what will happen? The not condition is only applied to the x is greater or equals to 6. Okay, not the whole situation. Okay, so when we are applying not to the single condition, it will only apply to that the single condition. It will not apply to the whole condition with the or end. So that's why you are getting the true, and now you are getting the false because you are now applying not on whole the condition. Okay,
Yeah,
so
because
that's
I
why
was
you were
putting
getting,
not on my bracket
yeah,
on my
exactly,
x, which is wrong.
exactly, that's why you are getting the true because or condition is actually getting y equals to 11.
Yeah,
Okay, everybody understands that why we were getting the true at this statement.
because we added a not on our x.
uh, Anybody understand or do I need to repeat it?
Yeah, just repeat it.
Okay, I'll repeat it again. For example, we are applying the not condition on the or logic. Okay, so we have the or logic with these two conditions: x is greater than 6 or y equals to y. If we are applying this, so not is applying on whole the condition with the or logic. Okay, but Rashi, remove the parenthesis here. Remove
So
the
if we added
parenthesis.
not right here,
Okay, and remove it. Okay, so now what is happening? Not is only apply on the x is greater than equals to 6. Okay, so if x is greater than equals to 6 is true, so not is making it false, but we are getting true because y equals to 11 is true.
yeah,
Okay,
because that one condition. If we were
and
to add an
Ashim,
and,
yeah, and make
it
it
would
end,
be false.
it will
False.
be false. So now you understand that why we were getting true and why we were getting false at the other statement when we put the parenthesis.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Ashi,
So it's actually
copy it whole and put it into the next cell. Yeah, and now make it a bracket. Make the bracket here. Yeah, exactly. Priority checking. Exactly. Now, yeah, and now run it.
that is all still gonna be false because we're
Uh,
adding that and.
and now you need to add or here
If you add
or
an or,
yeah,
it will still be false
false.
because there's one more. And let me give this is
Now you
really
understand, guys, that why we were getting true or false. Is there any
Yes,
confusion?
ma'am. No
Yeah,
confusion.
that's okay. So you need to make in your mind that if you are applying not with the single condition, it will apply only that condition. It will not apply the whole logical conditions. Okay. And also you do you guys have any do you guys understand that what is logical operator and why do we use it? Do you understand that? That what is logical operator and why do we use it?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, okay, Asher. Now move ahead.
okay. Before we start our second last operator that I'm gonna be explaining, let's just see what this gives. Does anybody understand what this means? Not three. When you run it, it gives false. How come? Does anybody know why it gives um this false? I know this line doesn't really make sense, but it does give an output. And what can we say? Why is it giving false? Anybody?
That, guys, do you know I actually explained 0 and 1. 0 is false, 1 is true. We were actually having the idea. Anybody?
Okay, so Boolean values,
Sorry, Aisha, can you say it again?
जो मतलब Boolean में जो जिनका आंसर आता है,
Exactly, जिसका
for
boolean में
that,
आंसर आता है.
and if it's one,
Yeah,
then it will be zero.
Yeah, yeah.
And so reason here behind why this is giving a false is because look, firstly, you normally we'd use a comparison operator or we just use this whole statement. But the reason to that
Actually,
is why it's giving
if we put 0 at the place of 3, what will be the answer?
what will be the answer? It will be true because 0 and 1 in Python takes false and true as well. It takes Boolean as well.
Yes, that's clear now.
And 3, the reason why it's giving false is because 3 is just 3. There's no condition. It's probably going to stay as a true because there's no reason for it to be false. And so it would reverse the result. Okay, I have one more thing to give. What do you think this will give? Empty string. Anybody know? Somebody said false. No, that's not really the main idea. This is the before output. Don't take it like that. If you say
Can
false,
you
how?
explain? Yeah, can you explain, Faisal, why it's false?
Yeah.
Amir is
Ignore the
saying,
output. This is a before.
Amir is saying true. Now see
Yes,
what who is correct, Asher. Let's run the cell and see who is correct.
Amir is true. That is why. Okay, somebody say they don't understand it. Let me simplify it
So
real
how
quick.
it will be true?
The reason it's gonna be true is because firstly, there's not in Boolean stuff in Python, it's not just false and true. These are just one of them. There's also 0 and 1, but there's also this other one you have to keep in mind. Empty thing. They in Python interpreter will actually take it as a false, and our not is reversing a result, right? And so that's why we get a true. So basically, think of um, look, think these things as false. And so if you think these empty brackets false, then that's why. And that's and so yeah, that's how it works.
Basically, Aisha, here what is happening that when we have empty string, so we need to check a condition that string is empty or not. The beauty of the Python interpreter is mean that when we are passing the empty string to a condition or to a operators, right? For example, not operator or is not operator. With that, if you are passing a empty string, so empty string by itself is a false in Python. Okay, so when it is by itself a false condition, so when we are adding it with not, so making it true. Okay, so we need to understand that there is no only boolean conditions, true or false. We can also have an empty string condition. Even if you apply empty string, it will if you apply empty string with a variable, it will give you still a false. Okay, so that's how we actually understand that string is empty or not. If the string is empty, so it will give us the false, right? Okay.
Okay, got it.
What's the meaning of this empty string? Now you understand, Aisha? What's the meaning of this empty
Yeah,
string?
yeah, I understand it.
Okay,
Yeah, it
that's
means
great.
false. Okay,
Okay.
now let's move on to our second and last. It is called identity operators. These operators, they're used to compare objects. Not it doesn't have to be an object, but it's mostly going to be an object, but still it can be maybe it can also be a number. And so this is how what it does is it doesn't check if it's equal. So there it compares object and it can also compare numbers or values and variables and it checks it doesn't check that you might think when you're comparing it it's checking if it's equal. No, it doesn't check if it's equal. It check if it has the same memory location. And so meaning, for example, you might have look, think of it right here in identity operators. For example, we have 1 2 3. Yeah, this is multiple values. Pretend this was a x. And then we have a y, which is probably going to be 3 or 5. These, we're going to compare the object, but they're not the same value. And so, of
Are
course,
you using paint?
yeah, oh, yeah, I'm using paint. Oh, my bad.
So yeah, you need to share it.
Oh, my bad. I forget. I'm not used to Zoom. Okay, here, now. See, for example, in our x, we have maybe 1, 2, 3. Y is 3, 4, 5. This is just an example, not a Python structure. And we want to check if we use maybe an identity operator, this also gives us Boolean values in identity operators, and it will be a false. The reason to that is because they're different, and it's not just because of their values. You also have to think of memory location, meaning what if there's this X which has all these values and stuff, and we have a Y which has the same values. Memory location is meaning that if they're in a different variable, which is different location. That and it has and when you talk about location, if you think you have to figure out if it's location or not, it has to take some it has to take up some memory. So when you maybe further on, when you start learning about lists and dictionaries and all those objects, you're gonna properly understand what identity operators are doing. But whereas if you have
Asher,
not really, yeah,
let's make it simple. Go to the Jupyter notebook.
okay. Okay, I'll start explaining.
No, wait. Just go to the Jupyter notebook. Open your Jupyter notebook.
Ma'am, how we can allocate same memory location to different variables?
Okay, memory allocation is not just doing with yourself. Okay, memory allocation is something that actually Python align the memory with the variable. I already told you that variable actually contains some boxes. Okay, that boxes are some memory of the CPU, of your server, of anything, right? So that's memory allocation is something that Python itself doing from your server, from your CPU. It's totally like that. Okay, so when we are talking about identity operators actually used to identify that this thing is actually there or not in this other one. Okay, for example, Ashir said you that x is 123 and y is 123 also. Okay, so here are two scenarios. One is memory location and second is value scenario. The value is equals or not, or memory is equals to not, right? So identity operator is basically giving you the answer that these two things are uh, same or not. Okay, now you have the question that we have equals to also, so we can check it through the equals to, but equals to only check the values, not the memory, not the something behind the values, right? That we cannot see.
Okay,
So
so
that is the difference between equals to and is. For example, let's make it more easier. Ashir, just write x equals to 3 and y equals to 3.
and if you write and there's this
X
one
is x is y, right? Yeah.
is the identity operator, which
Okay.
is
We
checking it.
Yeah, we have two identity operators. One is and second is in. That is the main identity operators that we actually use throughout the program. And
It's
from them, from is or in, we actually mostly use in operators in a lot of scenarios. Okay, so
in
if I
is
write,
not
sorry,
in is
okay,
not a identity. It is not.
is not okay.
In is a membership operator.
Okay, thank you, Asha, for correcting me here. Thank you. Okay, so if we write x is y, so what will be the answer, Aisha? Okay,
मैम
let's run it.
आई एम लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूज कि अगर लाइक दोनों की वैल्यूज और दोनों की मेमोरी लोकेशन सेम होंगी तब इसका आंसर ट्रू आएगा.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but keep in mind of one thing. Just saying one more time. Identity operators are not checking if they're the same value. It's checking if they have the same location in their variables. And so and is not is just doing the opposite, and double equals to is checking if it's the same value. That's why it's a comparison operator. Otherwise, if it were checking memory, that location, then it would be identity. And so here, the re we are getting true. It's really strange, right? Because look, X and Y, they're in different locations. But the thing about this is because the reason it's true is because they're actually, they don't have some kind of location. They're not taking up any memory. And that's why it's taking it as true. And so, because when you look, when you start learning lists, like multiple, if you start learning like objects and having multiple values in a variable, this is where identity operators will become more understandable because they're actually taking some memory. And so, like, for example, a
So Ashu,
dictionary
here
will,
here we if you're if you're saying this, so that's mean that if we are having x equals to 3 and y equals to 3, so they are not taking another memory. They are not like Python is not making x variable different and y variable different. They are Python operators making a single memory and defining two variables like this.
yeah.
Okay,
So it's
yeah.
so
Okay,
single memory. What do you mean by that?
for example, we have a 3, right?
Yeah.
So 3 having a single memory, but it has a two variables x and y. That's why it is giving us a 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Because
it
this
means
is
that
single.
two variables are pointing towards the same memory location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Basically. So this is not the only way you can make it true. There's also another way to make it true, is by creating maybe a new and saying a create a new variable, for example, a, and say it and apply it to that in another variable so that it will have that same memory location with the same value in whatever it is. And so if you check a equals x, look what it gives. It gives true, and the reason behind that is because we added this one line which said a equals x. Everybody understand what this is doing?
Yes, Aisha. Or anybody understand it?
Yeah,
Or still
because
having confusion?
this is
If you
this
if
way
you
is how you create um uh um the same memory location with a variable.
okay, if you have any confusion in that operator, we will understand that operator when we were actually learning about the list or other objects.
Yeah,
When we learn this operator on that list topic, you will understand it more better way. But currently, you need to remember that that is operator is actually looking for your memory, and it is actually identifying the two things or comparing two things with your memory system. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
And
actually, let's
so
move with the membership operator.
yeah, just one more thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
trust me
Hmm.
that when you learn lists and all that stuff, you learn dictionaries, this will be so much understandable because this is just a single value. When you start with objects, they start actually coming with some memory. And yeah, is not is just opposite. It will do opposite to this. And so you're like A is not X, but we wrote this here, and so it's going to be false. Everybody understand? Is not is just the opposite. Everybody understands? Okay.
Yes, it's reversible.
Yeah. It's basically just the opposite of is. And final operator I'm going to be explaining. Just saying one more time. These are not just the only operators. There's actually way more following, but these are just some basic ones to start with. Last one, membership operators. These membership operators are just checking if maybe some specified value is present in an object. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an object. It can also be a it could also be maybe a string because it has multiple keys. And so let me show you in a paint basically what it's doing. So before we start in code, let me give simple explanation. Where's my paint? Wait, where's my paint? Um, let me find it. Oh, found it. Here. So for example, so we have actually membership operators two keys. We have in, two keywords. In, this is our first membership operator, and not in. And so we have not in and in. And basically what these two are doing is, for example, we have this one box. It has a value 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5. And we want to check what if is the number 6 in there, but there's only up to 5, for example. And we'll basically do 6 in this box. So this is how we're gonna write the code towards. And this is a box of multiple values, right? But it doesn't have to be that. It can also be a string, like, for example, Osher, maybe you could say. So it could be any other string. This is just example. It could also take maybe the letter A in this string. It can go like that and in those ways. So now let me show you in code, and I will ask you, everybody understand, like, it was just a simple explanation about it. And now let's now let's write it in code. For example, because guys have not learned objects yet, I'm just gonna do it with strings. Let's see what name. No, not name. Maybe user equals to Johnny. Or you could say Johnny. And the way we'll write it is, and you can choose any 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 character from the string, but it can also be multiple. And so you could say, but it has to be in together. So if you were to do J-O in um user, what would the answer be? Anybody know? Because this is checking if it's presented in it.
True.
Any true? You say? Yes, correct.
Yes, true.
And how do you know that? How do you know that this is a true?
Because we are using in, and it's searching in that string, is there existing or not?
Yeah, and this is existing, yeah? These J and O, right?
I should just add space here. J O space. Now
What do
what
you
do you
think
guys
this
think?
will be?
Now what do you think?
False.
Why?
Because it's added one more character that's not existing in that string.
Exactly. Space is also a character here. So that's not included. So I
Yeah.
should run it. It's a
What
false.
about, yeah, it's a false. What about here? What do you think this will give? Look, J is existing and H. But what do you think this will give?
It will be true.
False.
Yes, correct. And how do you know that? Because there's a J and an H.
Because after J there is no H.
Yeah,
After J
correct.
comes O. That's
That
why.
is that. Yeah, so it also comes with order. You cannot do it in whatever you desire. You have to do it in order. And what do you think this will give? Maybe. What do you think empty will give?
It will give us false.
Yes, it will. Oh, this empty brackets? No, it does not give us false. This gives us true. The reason because okay, yes, we know that okay, those empty brackets will probably mean false, but not in this situation, no, because we're checking here, and these are also included. These also count. And so these will count, but if you add a space inside will be false because there's no space. You understand? So
Okay,
basically,
got it.
yeah, because this is also part. And so one more time, when you're doing these in with strings, you have to see that it's in order because you cannot choose whatever you desire, even if you add space or whatever. And yeah, that's about in. And one more time, let's do not in. What do you think this will give? Anybody think what will this give? Not in is just the opposite of it of in.
It will be false
And how do you say?
because it's true.
Yeah,
It
because it's gonna
extends.
reverse. Yeah, you're right. Because this is true and it is in the user, but we added a not to reverse. So yeah, and that's all about these operators for now. Just saying, well, these are not just the only operators. There's there's a few more following on, but these are some basic ones which should be understood. And that's all.
Thank you, Asher. Thank you so much for giving us the idea about operators. Anybody have any question?
No.
Okay, that's really good, Asher. Thank you so much. सो या आज की क्लास आशिर ने कंडक्ट की ऑपरेटर्स के हवाले से एंड यू गाइस ऑलरेडी नो दैट यू एक्चुअली लर्न अबाउट अरिथमेटिक ऑपरेटर्स लॉजिकल ऑपरेटर्स असाइनमेंट ऑपरेटर कंपैरिजन ऑपरेटर आइडेंटिटी ऑपरेटर एंड मेंबरशिप ऑपरेटर ये वो ऑपरेटर्स हैं जो मेनली मेनली पाइथन के अंदर यूटिलाइज होते हैं और यूज़ होते हैं सबसे ज़्यादा जो यूज़ होने वाले ऑपरेटर्स होते हैं वो कंपैरिजन ऑपरेटर्स होते हैं लॉजिकल ऑपरेटर्स होते हैं इसके अलावा ये जो मेंबरशिप ऑपरेटर और आइडेंटिटी ऑपरेटर हैं ये भी बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ होते हैं जब हम एक बिजनेस लॉजिक के ऊपर या एक प्रोडक्ट के ऊपर काम करते हैं तो ये सारे ऑपरेटर्स को आप लाजमी 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 पढ़िएगा और इसके हवाले से अगर कोई सवाल हो तो वो सवाल कीजिएगा नाउ लेट्स टेक वन एग्जांपल एंड लेट्स डू इट सो दैट हम लोगों को पता चले कि आपको कितना समझ में आया है ठीक है तो मैं एक प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट राइट कर रही हूँ तो आप सब ने वो उसके लिए कोड लिखना है और मुझे बताना है वो कोड को फिर यहाँ पे अपने उसके अंदर चैट के अंदर पेस्ट करना है सो दैट मुझे पता चले कि कितना आपको समझ आया और कितना समझ में नहीं आया सही है सो जस्ट गिव मी एन 2 मिनट
Just saying, let me there's, like I said already, these are just the basic operators which you should know pretty much in the beginning of Python. Some other ones are like, for example, ternary operators, which is just an easier way to write if else statements, which you'll probably learn or you have already learned. And there's also bitwise. It's what you have to like understand the concept of binary first for bitwise. You also have unary, and yeah, I'm sure there's just a few more towards that are more advanced. But otherwise, these are just the basics I've explained. And yeah,
या थैंक यू आशिर ओके सो आई मैंने आप लोगों को एक प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट दी है गाइज आप सब अपने पास सॉल्व करें और फिर अपने अपने कोड्स को चैट में डालते जाएं
okay.
आशिर इफ यू वांट टू लीव यू कैन